have Kevin Donka, 2013 DCA World Individual Champion snare drummer. Dr. Kevin Donka will be demonstrating different grips, strokes, and playing styles needed for playing on different types of rudimental drumming surfaces: rope, tension, mylar, and Kevlar. Many drummers are unaware that these surfaces each require variations in playing style in order to be at your best, get the most out of your performance, and avoid injury. Kevin Donka is also a world-renowned chiropractor and is well qualified to speak on this topic. He will also be sharing some of his favorite strategies for building creativity in your playing, chops, power, and endurance. So without any further ado, Kevin Donka.
First of all, I'll say what an honor it is to be here. There are so many people that I have heard about and seen on YouTube and followed for years. I marched in drum corps in the 1970s, and then I took off from 1979 to 2010. And when I got back, I saw people playing things that I just couldn't believe. I thought, nobody's human if they can play that stuff. And then I thought, well, wait a minute. I remember when I was young, seeing people play stuff, and I thought, if he can play it, I can play it. I just need a little more time, a little more practice. So I started working 20 minutes here, 40 minutes there, watched some videos from Jeff and from Dominic and a couple other people, and pretty soon some friends said, well, you should go to DCA. And I thought, yeah, that's a joke. And I went and I did okay. So I made the solo of like a day and a half before I went. And I thought, well, what if I really worked at it? So I worked hard and I went out, and since I won DCA, I've had the opportunity to teach in so many places and write for so many drum lines, and this incredible opportunity and honor here today. So what I want to do today is, as a chiropractor, I see a lot of people who want to still play drums but can't because they've injured themselves. And when I found out, first of all, I go, Kevlar? You mean the stuff that cops take bullets with? You know, I mean, I just couldn't believe. And then someone said, well, just play on it. It's really cool. Try 3-stroke rolls. You won't believe how easy they are. And I'm playing 30-second flange 4-stroke rolls. And going, I love this thing. But pretty soon I started hurting. So I looked into it and I thought about, wow, you have to use finger control. You have to use rebound. You actually let the head do the work for you on some things. It's just an amazing concept. But I had all these friends that I marched with that had arthritis and carpal tunnel syndrome and tendonitis, and they couldn't play anymore. So I really set out to try and teach people the different ways that different techniques you need to play on those drums. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about proper technique, how to avoid injury, and also then I want to share my strategies for becoming an elite snare drummer, which truly are not mine. They're all the things that all of my teachers taught me through the years. The really top drummers in this room, I guarantee you they've all done all of them, and they all still do all of them. I had a kid that works in the hotel here. He's a drummer. He came up to me this morning, and I've been practicing my solo a little bit out on my pad, and sorry I screwed up a bit. The adrenaline got the best of me. I've got so many really great drummers sitting here watching me. So, but he says, wow, that was really amazing. And then he walked by, and then he came back, and he goes, so what are you doing now? I was doing bucks and triplet bucks. He goes, those are called bucks, right? I said, right. He goes, why are you doing those? I said, so I can play what you saw me play before. He goes, how often do you play those? I said, every single time I pick up my sticks. Every time. And those who have played with me, Gary and I play a lot, we always play that stuff. So I want to start out by talking about rope drum technique. I don't need to tell a lot of you in here how to play rope drum, but I want to talk about the difference, especially for some young people that are only learning on the modern drums. The technique you use really depends on the kind of head you use, because some of the Kevlar rope drum heads now have a lot of rebound, and you actually use some mixed technique with them. But typically, no finger control is really used on a rope drum. Everything is played. And most of the guys that are over about 45 in here, you know, we learned how to play a roll on our leg, right? Now go up to a modern kid in high school playing on these, and he'll go, what are you, some kind of freak or some kind of magician? Or what? You know, he'll bounce it on his knee. I go, no, play it on here. You know, and I never was a fan of the pillow because that's actually lifting out of it. But playing into your leg, you know, and we all walked around with tan lines from our slings and bruises on our thigh, right? So we play into the drum on a rope drum. You play into the head. You imagine that the head is actually, you know, ½ inch to an inch below where it is, and you play in. You typically don't change what we call your fulcrum. You don't really change which fingers are exerting the pressure. You just play everything. The stick heights are usually higher on a rope drum as well because we're not really using the rebound. We use a lot of arm. We use molar stroke. I don't need to tell everybody all about that stuff. But I do want to, just for those who don't know, a typical stroke, the tip comes up first. The tip of the stick moves first. A molar stroke, your wrist and the butt of the stick move first, and there's a little whipping action, right? But there's two other kinds of strokes that we need to talk about. One is a downstroke, where you hit the drum and you stop the stick. You just stop it right there. You don't stop it up here, right? You stop it right down there. There's no squeeze and release. It's just stop it. Stay relaxed. The other is, and by the way, those are sometimes called marcato. The word marcato in music means it's notes that are separate from other notes, and they sound a little more powerful. The other note is a rebound stroke, where we let it bounce right back up. And that's known also as a legato stroke. Legato means that everything flows together. Now, this is really cool. I noticed this when I started learning how to play legato on a Kevlar head. I noticed that my sticks looked different to me. So if you don't have a mirror, this will be the first thing that we're going to workshop together here. And it's really cool. Is I noticed that when I'm playing legato strokes, when I'm rebounding, I can see my tips together at the top of each arc. But everything else in between is blurred. But when I'm playing stop or down strokes, you can see the tips together at the bottom, and I can see them together at the top. So here's legato. Here's marcato. See the difference? You can see the tips together there. So everybody take out your sticks. And what we're going to do is we're going to just play some 16th notes like that, and you're going to let them rebound. Hopefully you have a pad, not just a table. If you don't, the table might work. But I just want to do some 16th notes, and you should just let them bounce. Now listen, we're not doing this. We're not lifting the stick up. You're literally letting it bounce right back up off it. So watch the tips of your sticks. You should only see them together at the top. Okay, so now we're going to play what we would all call just a regular stroke. It's a downstroke. You're going to stop those sticks each time and watch. You will see the beats together at the bottom and the top. So the exercise that I practiced was going back and forth. 4 counts of beat, 4 counts legato, 4 counts marcato. Then 2 counts of each, then 1 count of each. So it looks like this. When you've never done that before. And you'll notice that your grip changes, your hand changes, everything changes. But you need to be able to do those 2 things in order to play anything other than the slowest things, and to play them with good technique. So that's something that you can just practice over and over and over again. All right, so back to rope drum. In rope drumming and traditional drumming, we play everything very open, what the kids today call slurred, okay? And that's a function of first not having a whole lot of rebound for a long time, and it's also tradition, just like lagging the rolls, which, by the way, a guy who's never lagged a roll in his life is really going crazy this weekend. Listen to these. And I'm like, no! But I'm doing it, it's kind of cool. So, all right, so one of the other reasons that everything is played kind of open is because rope drums typically don't have a lot of really short, sharp articulation. And so it's also not, it's really not as important to have the line be everybody playing exactly the same, because even if they are, it's still going to sound kind of loose. Okay, so what, now, as far as safety, even with these, you want to make sure that when you're playing, that you aren't shrugging your shoulders. If you're doing a molar stroke, you do not raise your shoulder. It moves from the elbow, right? Everybody know good technique with that? And also, don't jut your head forward. Don't be looking down all the time. Don't jut your head forward. Your head actually weighs the same as a bowling ball. And when you put it here, it stresses all of this back here, and then you typically start to lean back, and then you end up like every old snare drummer you've ever seen. Right? All right, so what I'm going to do, just because I want the chance to play my rope drum a little more, is I'm in a rope drum line that we started a couple of years ago called the Riverside Brigade, and none of us are fife and drum people. We're all old drum corps people. We have someone from the Belleville Black Knights, one from the Madison Scouts, 2 from Phantom Regiment, 1 from Spirit of Atlanta, 1 from Anaheim Kingsmen, 2 Blue Stars, and a Skokie Indian. Yeah, a partridge in a pear tree. So this is our cadence. That's it, little cadence. And what's really nice about a rope drum is, until I strapped on a rope drum inside a room and played a flam, I forgot how cool a flam really can be. Because it's like, blah, 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 blah. And I thought, when I put that on, I'm never going to play any other drum again. That was really cool. So, let's move on to Mylar. Mylar technique really is very much like a rope drum technique if you don't crank the heads. If you do crank the heads, it's more like the modern technique. So Mylar really does a combination of some more wrist rather than the arm and some finger control. And what's really cool about Mylar is it's got a better articulation, but it's still got that nice, soft feel to it. And you can get away with playing just about as much technique as you want, and you really won't hurt yourself. The main thing is that when we moved to this drum, we were able to do things in a way that we couldn't do them because of the articulation. And so this is when we got into people doing more things with a little bit lower technique. Of course, East Coast was completely different than West Coast. East Coast, if you played 6-stroke rolls, it was... If you go up to the West Coast, they're going... Right? So we would play... I would listen to the East Coast guys. They go, wow, that's really neat. And then the West Coast guys would go... I'm like, wow, they're so fast. No, wait a minute. They're playing the exact same thing. It's just completely different because when you watch the East Coast guys roll, right? That's how I learned. Here's how they learn. And as the heads got tighter and tighter, less and less and less arm movement came about. Instead of a typical molar, some went to a modified molar. A little bit of arm. And then, late 70s, early 80s, no arm at all. That's where the finger control started coming in. Now, if you're using a Mylar that's got a medium tension head, you're going to play things that are really cool that require a little bit of finger control, and you're going to play some things you can play nice and wide open. So what I want to play is an exercise by Jack Pratt. Many of you know it. It's called The Exercise. We, in the Riverside Brigade, we changed it a little bit, just spiced it up a little bit. But I'm going to play that for you, and you'll see that there's a mixture of old and new in the way that we play this. With playing that way on Kevlar, if you don't crank the head and you don't do it very long. But if you play that way on a Kevlar head, you will become injured because it's not forgiving like this. Even the hybrid heads, there are two types of Kevlar heads. There's straight Kevlar and then there's the hybrid heads that have Mylar and Kevlar combined. But you cannot play that way on these drums for very long without getting tendonitis or carpal tunnel syndrome or arthritis at the very least. So I want to show you how to incorporate the rebound strokes, the finger control, and the legato strokes into playing on a Kevlar drum. Now, just so you know, the reason why these were developed in the first place is because the corps out west were cranking these heads down so far there literally was no rim at all. They couldn't even play rim shots. because they were so far down. And they were breaking 2, 3, 4 heads a week. So somebody came up with the idea to make a head out of something harder, and it was strictly economic reasons. And that's why they went to this crank. Now, after years and years of injury, after years and years of drums sounding like Formica countertops, they're starting to incorporate these mylar fibers back in. They're not cranking them as hard. They're going back to leaving wide open snares. If you heard Santa Clara Vanguard last year, their drums sound phenomenal. No tape on the bottom heads, no cranking them up. They really sound good. So, here's the thing. Most of the drums, most of the things played on mylar, most of the things played on rope drums are very military, because that was where the roots were. Modern drum corps, modern marching band is really more for entertainment. And I have friends that say, well, yeah, you can't compare them, they're apples and oranges. And I say, no, they're not apples and oranges. They're apples and bulldozers. They're completely separate things. You cannot compare today's stuff to the old stuff, or you'll be very, very frustrated. We need to learn to appreciate what it brings and the musicality to it. And I was one of those old farts on Drum Corps Planet for a while saying, oh, that's not drum corps, those guys don't play anything. And then I went and watched them play and went, oh my God, these guys are amazing. So I started learning this stuff. And what's really interesting is the rebound strokes and how you use finger control. So what I want to do first is I want to say that when you hold a stick, typically, we've all been told, keep your fingers on the stick. We also know almost nobody does. But we were told, keep your fingers on the stick, and you use your wrist, right? Now, when we use finger control, we don't take the fingers off the stick, but we open and close our hand. I remember Jeff has a video where he mentions doing this kind of exercise. That's the movement we want. You want to open and close your hand, but your fingers never leave the stick, okay? And what I found interesting was when I'm playing most stuff, my fulcrum remains pretty much right there with a little bit of pressure from these. But as I go into 3 strokes and 4 strokes and really fast stuff, I find that I loosen that front finger, and now I'm using my middle 2 fingers more, and sometimes even my ring finger, and I get way better finger control that way. Now with the left hand, this was really, really the hardest thing for me to learn. I'm watching the kids play, and I was always taught that stick doesn't leave that finger. I mean, that's how we play. And I watch, and their fingers almost always off the stick. I'm going, how are you doing that? So I ran up against a kid in high school. He says, well, what you got to do is, my instructor told me you got to practice this. You got to practice pulling those fingers away. You know, so walk around doing that Star Trek thing. You know, develop those muscles. And then what you do is you learn how to. You almost let go of your bottom fingers, let it rebound, and then throw them back up to catch it. And that was so hard for me because, you know, I was a, hey, hold your stick. I was that kind of guy, you know. But as soon as I learned how to do this, the possibilities are amazing. So that's how you do finger control. Now, there's really not much arm movement at all unless you're doing some kind of a theatrical big accent or something, except when they do really fast rolls. What's interesting is they use fingers and arms with no wrist at all. You completely lock your wrists, and that's what they do now. So really, almost everything that we learned before is just right out the window. But you can play so much more when you can play all of these techniques. Now, people who are taught only this way, they typically don't learn the old rudiments. I teach a lot of kids, and they don't know what a rad-McHugh is. They have never even heard of Swiss triplets. I know, that's blasphemy. But what they can do are some really amazing things. Now, we used to put rudiments together, and we called them compound rudiments. Now they call them hybrid rudiments. And I want to show you a couple of those, because they really are cool. If you haven't looked into any of the hybrid rudiments, go to the Vic Firth website and just put in hybrid rudiments. And there's like, I don't know, 40 of them around there or something. But what they are is they're a combination of all the different rudiments. So one of the first ones I learned was called an egg beater. You know how to do 3-stroke rolls, right? And you know how to do a regular roll. Egg beaters are 3 on one hand, 2 on another. Or you can do it the opposite way. And those are really cool. And then you can mix them up even more. There's a rudiment called deviled eggs, which is a 2 and a 3 and a 2. Or you can mix them up, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 2. It's really kind of cool. And the amount of control that it takes will make you a better drummer. Even if you never play it in a piece, it'll make you a better drummer to learn that. Another one of my favorites is actually done with a quintuplet, or what kids call fivelets. And it's a paradiddle tap, paradiddle tap, paradiddle tap. So right, left, right, 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 left, 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 with an accent on one. And then you flam the first 2 rights of the 3. So cool. Garfield played, Cadets played those a couple of years back, and they put a drag on the front of it. So those are really cool. Once you get them, they really, really flow. If you can learn how to use that finger control. And then one of my favorites, and I remember this, there's a guy named Casey who marched with Blue Devils, and he now teaches Santa Clara Cadets. And he was doing this thing called book reports. And I went, book report? Why it's called a book report? And he goes, because it's hard. And, but he's sitting there going, and I go, well, he's not human. That's the only explanation. Nobody can play this. And then I thought, okay, now wait a minute. I remember what I said. If he can play it, I can play it. I just need the time. So and here's what a book report is. It's a paradiddle, accenting the first tap, okay? But you're going to put a flam on the third, right? So it's what we call choo-choos or inverse flamme, right? Now you're going to put drags, or what they call today diddles. And I know the difference between a diddle and a drag. Most people don't that are today, but I do. Anyway, they put a diddle on the first and the fourth partial. So that's how I started it. He's going. It took me about a week and a half, or 20 minutes a day, going. Each time I get just a little faster, and pretty soon I'm doing the book reports and moving the accent around. I'm like, whoo, I'm not human. So, I mean, it's so cool to learn this stuff because you have to use finger control, you have to have downstrokes, you have to have legato strokes. It's so cool. So really do yourself a favor and learn these things, because even if all you ever play is Crazy Army, I promise you'll play it better after learning this stuff. And what's really cool is now when I play on my rope drum, I actually use some finger control, and I can't believe how nice and clean it is compared to how I used to play. All right, now, one of the things about these drums is that they give an incredibly short articulation. And all of the dirt shows. And Justin, he can tell you, you can be over on the other side of the field, and if 2 guys don't play perfectly together, you're like, I heard that. You know, I mean, it's just incredible. The other thing about these drums is you definitely need to wear ear protection, because with these drums, the sound goes out the bottom. With these, it bounces right back up in your face. It's really loud. All right, so I already did a demo on here, but I want to give some general information, and then we'll get into the meat of the seminar or talk here. So, first of all, the best players, all the best players that I've ever met know all of these techniques. Nobody says, "Oh, well, that's not for me." They say, "Oh yeah, let me have it." You know, Fred, how old are you, Fred?
83.
83. Fred was talking to me last night, and he gave a perfect analogy. He says, you know, you got these people who learn. It's like they were in junior high, they learned all the basics, and then they went on with their life. And they never went to high school, they never went to college, they never went beyond. How about if you put the accent on a different beat? Why would you do that? They never did it. But all of the great drummers in here, everybody with any great chops, they're not afraid of learning. In fact, they crave it. They absolutely crave it. I've got my notebook and pencil out, And I'm taking notes. I've already taken notes on my phone. I'm going to go home and do all kinds of cool stuff that I've learned here this weekend. Now, so, second thing, if you're not playing in a drum line, you can play any way you want. Playing on a drum set, you're doing a solo, whatever you want. You don't need to worry about how you're holding your sticks or anything. That's the art of drumming. But if you learn these techniques first, and then you go on your drum set, you will be a better drum set drummer. It's that simple. All right, so this is where we're going to follow the handout from now on. My suggestions for joining the ranks of the elite. Number one, play at least a few hours every day. Every day, a few hours. And if you can't get a few hours in, at least pick your sticks up and play paradiddles for 1 minute. That's all you have to do. Because you know what? You've got to keep those hands, you've got to keep your head, you've got to keep your heart in it. You've heard of out of sight, out of mind? Out of hand, out of life. That's all there is to it. Okay? Some guys say, well, I can't play anymore. Well, how often do you play? Well, I don't. Well, that's why you can't play. I said to somebody this morning, you know, he goes, man, there's so many really old guys here that are just playing their butts off. And I said, yeah, you don't stop playing because you get old. You get old because you stop playing. That's really all there is to it. All right, so second thing, every time you pick up your sticks, put in time on the basics. First thing with the basics, the rudiments. Here's what I do. How long do you think I've been playing the rudiments? I'm almost 57 years old. Yeah, I've been playing them a really long time. Every week I pick a rudiment. And on Monday, I simply work open to close, open to close, open to close to open, open to close to open. I play it soft, I play it medium, I play it loud, I play it on that surface, I play it on that surface, I play it on that surface, and I just play, 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 play. Tuesday, what should I do Tuesday? Well, how about if you play it backwards and inverted? So that's what I do. I work on playing those rudiments backwards and inverted. Then on Wednesday, let's move the accents to every single part of that and play it forward and backward, moving the accents around. Let's do it soft, let's do it loud, let's do it medium, let's do it fast, let's do it slow. What do I do the next day? Well, now Thursday is flam day. Where do I put flams? Anywhere I freaking want to. Everywhere. Everywhere. You ever do a ratabacue and put a flam on the rough? Why would you do that? Why not? I mean, why wouldn't you do that? So that's what I do Thursday. Then Friday is find some music that I really like and just play that rudiment to the music. All different types of music, different speeds, different, you know, one time I'm playing reggae, so I'm playing. And the rest of the time I'm playing real fast jazz. You know, just play the rudiment to songs. And then Saturday, that's find a piece that's got a lot of those rudiments and play it. That's my week, every single week, and I spend 20 minutes on that. Then I go through all the basics. Now, basics for me are things like bucks, what we call bucks. It's accent tap. Now, I want to talk about the different ways to do these. Accent tap is not accent grace note. This is not accent tap. That's accent grace note. This is accent tap. So what do you need to do? You need to have a stop stroke, and you need to let it bounce back up to tap height. And stop it there. Then we also do accent grace note. So here are my heights. My heights are grace note height, which is 1 inch, 3 inches, 6 inches, 9 inches, and 12 inches. So I start out with a 12-inch accent and a 6-inch tap. Then I go to a 3-inch tap and a grace note. And again, you don't lift that grace note, you just drop it. Then you do 6 inches in a grace note. Then 9 inches. And then 12 inches in a grace note. So why would you do all those different heights and volumes? Did somebody tell me?
Control.
Not just control. You use totally different muscles with every one of those. Why would you only warm up the muscles to do that? Do you play most of your stuff with only those two heights? No, as a matter of fact, most of your stuff's in the middle. So you got to play in there too. Okay? How many times do you play this? I'm not up here. Here. So that's what you do. Now, everybody knows to do eighth note bucks and triplet bucks, but I have what I call advanced bucks. This pattern. Now, why would you do that? Why not? Right? How about the, let's mix it up, let's do a, now what's the left hand of a pas de fla-fla? Oh, really? Gosh, check that out. What about this one? What's the right hand of inverted flam taps? See? And then do the opposite, 2/16 and an eighth. So now the smart person's going to go, well, you only need to do one of those because if you do all three accents, then you're getting the muscle memory. It's not the same in your head. Trust me. When I was at DCA 3 years ago, one of the absolute top drummers in the world and I were drumming around, and he goes, well, let's just do some double paradiddles. And then I said, great, let's put a flam on the diddle. He goes, oh, well, we do that, but we start with the diddle and we accent the thing after it. I said, yeah, but let's do it my way. Let's do the double paradiddle and put the flam on the diddle. He couldn't play it. This guy gives seminars all over the world. I guarantee you, every single one of you know him. And he said, I can't believe I can't play this. And I said, yet. He goes, yeah, let's work on it. So we worked on it, and within a minute, he had it. But he goes, I can't believe I couldn't play that. Isn't that funny what your head does? Perfect example. And I'll tell you his name, because he told me it's okay. It's Mark Riley. You guys know Mark Riley. Did you ever think Mark Riley would say, I can't play that? I never did, but he couldn't play it for a minute. But then he could. And then he goes, hey, I put that in a solo I wrote. That's really cool. Yeah, so, I mean, you have to practice these different advanced bucks exercises. Even though they're all the same mechanically, they're not the same in your head. And I promise you, if you can play those advanced bucks at about 120 perfectly, good height, good control, and stay relaxed, you can honestly play anything. There's not a rudiment out there that doesn't have one of those in it. All right, so the other thing that you should practice all the time is basics. Flams, rolls, chops, and stick control. Of course, George Lawrence Stone's books are the Bible, Accents and Rebound, and Stick Control. I hope to have a couple of books out soon. Will they be similar? Of course, that's what everybody needs to learn. But use those books if you haven't used those. And then you got to have the correct tools. I have these sticks from Vic Firth called hammers, which are nice and heavy, and I always play with those, and then I move to my other sticks. You want to make sure that you have a pad that is a really good pad. I can't tell you how many pads I've seen this weekend that really should have been thrown away about 30 years ago. And seriously, I'm not exaggerating. And you should always practice in the position you're going to play. Now last night, true, some had been drinking, but we were playing three camps, and I said, let's do it off the left. And 4 people were like, we've been drinking. That wasn't why you couldn't play it. It's because you're sitting in a chair playing up here. You can't play something with muscles you don't usually use. You might be able to force it out, but that's not how you play. So have your pad, if you're going to play standing, get yourself a practice pad stand, or put it on top of your drum. Now, here's another tip for your practice pad. Practice pads have a really nice wood that they're made out of. And if you stick it on a table, or a cement top, or a drum, you lose the natural resonance of the wood. Now, watch what happens if you fold a towel double thick and you put it under it. Listen to the difference. And the feel is completely different. You want to make a new practice pad out of your old one? Fold a towel and stick it under it. You won't believe how much better it is. So tools are really important. All right, now, next thing. Second topic, make sure you have really good teachers. Have really good teachers. And don't be afraid to ask for help. Here's the thing. There's not anybody in here that's a really great drummer that isn't itching to have somebody say, hey, can you help me with this? That's what we want to do. We want to share. Drummers always want to share. Even with people who don't want to hear drumming, we want to share. All the time, right? So, contact people. I mean, I had a question about fife and drum and stuff, and everyone's going, and I knew Mark. I said, who should I talk to, Mark? I really want to learn about this traditional stuff. I've got some things I need to write for a fife and drum corps. And he goes, call Dominic. I said, really? He goes, yeah, call Dominic. So I called Dominic. He calls me right back. Hey, Kevin, how you doing? We talk like we've known each other forever. And I said, well, I wrote this thing. What do you think? He goes, not traditional at all. I said, it's not. Sounds like it to me. He goes, nope, you got 5-stroke rolls instead of 7-stroke rolls. He said, I don't see one flamacue in here. I'm like, oh, okay, thank you very much. So I rewrote it and I sent it back. He goes, yeah, that's kind of nice. I like that. That's cool. You know, and at first I'm like, but then I thought, well, wait a minute. He knows way more than I know about this. You know, and so call him up, contact him. And by the way, my other handout, I did not hand this out to try and get drum students. I handed this out for you to find out how to get drum students. Do them on the internet. Do them through Facebook Messenger. Do them through Skype. I teach people all over the world. It's the coolest thing. I have way more people that aren't in Illinois than I do in Illinois. I have 6 students in Illinois. I have 27 students from around the world that take lessons from me on Skype. And it's so cool. One kid in Colombia was playing on his bicycle seat with sticks that he peeled the bark off of. So I sent him a pad and sticks. I said, you can't practice on that. And then, unfortunately, I got 60 other people going, hey, can you send me a pad? But it's so cool to be able to, and that's the other thing, you know, besides having great instructors, is spend time teaching. Teaching is absolutely the best way to learn. It really is. Next thing, spend time playing with those who are better than you. Never be afraid to do that. If you see someone playing great stuff, stand up and watch them and say, do you mind if I join in? I can't play that, but could we play something together? I really want to get better. They're not going to say no. They won't. Here's the thing. You're not going to get better unless you spend time playing with people who are better than you. It's just the way it is. All right. Now, make sure you play everything off both the left and the right hand. And I remember when Cadre asked me to play with them, John Schwartz, where's John? Said, well, we're not playing anything off the left, and we're not adding flams where they don't belong. I'm known as the guy who wants to play everything off the left. Okay, so play everything off the right and the left, because you got to build balance, and it also increases your mental abilities. It really does. You having trouble remembering things? Try this little experiment. Go home. You need to activate the right side of your brain. Go home and do everything with your left hand for 2 days. Eat, shave, whatever you do with your hands. Do it with your left hand. And then start playing everything off the left hand. And pretty soon, you won't believe how much better you're remembering everything. It really gets your mind going. Okay, and now, of course, when someone says, why would I play it off the left? What do I say?
Why not?
Why not? Yeah, that's exactly right. All right, so now, let's do a little demonstration of things at the DCI booth last year. Kids were coming through the Dynasty booth at DCI, and they were bringing me stuff and like, hey, let's play this. And I'd go, well, let's play 6-stroke rolls off the left hand. I'm like, huh? Try them off the left hand. I can't believe how many people cannot play 6-stroke rolls off the left hand. Paradiddle diddles. They come up, oh, I can play paradiddle diddles fast. Try them off the left. No, let's play something else. Gotta do it. Okay, here's something. Did you ever play Crazy Army off the left? Or off the opposite hand? tried it last night. Why? Why not? Right? I knew I was going to be playing stuff off the left, and it took me like 4 tries. I'm like, whoa, that's really weird. I've never done it. I've never done it that way. All right, so here's the next 2 things. These are some of my favorite things to do. Take rudiments that normally alternate and don't alternate. Play them off the same hand. This is going to be a workshop here. So first thing is like paradiddles. These guys came through the booth from Rhythm X. You guys know what Rhythm X is? You follow indoor drumming? They are one of the top 3 lines. Their top 2 snare drummers came through the WGI booth last year, and they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, I'm here to help the kids drum, teach them some things. He goes, really? And they played part of their show, and I go, that's cool. That's really cool, man. I go, let's play something. They go, okay. I go, let's play 4 paradiddles. Then let's do 4, all starting on the right hand. And then we'll repeat that on the left. Okay, all right. So I go. And I go, well, what happened? They go, well, wait a minute. I've never played that. I go, well, let's just play it. It's just paradiddles. It's not that stuff you play. That was really cool stuff, but it's just paradiddles. Come on, let's play it. And it took them a little bit, but they got it. And then I go, so let's try some. Let's use that same idea. How about Rudimental? Do you guys know Rudimental? And they go, yeah, we're not like those guys who don't know all the rudiments. I go, okay, well, let's play Rudimental, but all on the same hand. Right? And they're like, later, dude. And then he comes back, he goes, no, wait, I really want to learn that. He goes, my friend's an asshole, but I really want to. So he went home, he learned it, and a week later he sent me this video, and he's just beaming. He goes, I can do it, man, check this out. He goes, thank you so much. He goes, you're the oldest guy I ever learned anything from. Never show him your best hand first, all right? Okay. So here's what we're going to do. Oh, here's another thing. Flam accents. Everybody alternates flam accents, right? Let me use my pen. Everybody alternates flam accents because that's how you play flam accents. But play them all on the right hand or on the left. How about drags? Why? Why not? Okay? Now make sure you're not playing Swiss triplets. This is right, left, right, right, left, right, right, left, right, right, left, right. Okay, so everybody take out your sticks. We're going to learn what I call not so simple paradiddles. So not so simple paradiddles, exactly what I said. 4, just like we normally do. Then 4 all on the right hand. Then 4 starting with the left. And then 4 all on the left. Oh, by the way, remember the advanced box? There it is. When kids say, I can't play inverted flam taps, I have such trouble with that. I said, let's play one-handed paradiddles. No, I need help with inverted flam taps. I know, but just humor me. Let's play one-handed paradiddles. By the way, what's the left hand of? Oh, but you can fool your mind. You can build the muscle memory and fool your mind because you're not playing inverted flam taps. You're just playing paradiddles. You build a muscle memory, you fool your mind, and pretty soon, it's like magic. Just find those advanced bucks, find what's in there. So that's not so simple paradiddles. Let's try that again, a little slower. 1, 2, ready, go. Right, left, right, left, right, 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 left, right, left, right, left, 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 left. Isn't that cool? Just work on it. All right, who here knows how to play random cues? Everybody, right? Let's try them. The same thing. 4 regular random cues, and then 4 on the right. And left, right, left, right, left, 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 left. Oh, that's good. So, we're not going to do that all together, but that's hard, isn't it? That's pretty cool. Now, why would you ever do that besides why not? What's the right hand? Oh, It's a jazz ride. How cool is that? All right, let's try the same thing with playing accents. 4 alternating, then 4 off the right. 1, 2, ready, go. Right, left, right, left, right, 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 left, right, left, right, left, left, left. Now, let's do it with flam drag. Ready, go. Okay, so just like we just took rudiments that normally alternate and played them all on the same hand, let's take rudiments that normally are played on the same hand and let's alternate them. How about paradiddle diddles? Everyone always does those only on the right or only on the left. What if you alternate them? Why? Why not? The paradiddle diddle, paradiddle diddle. Oh, what's the advanced buck in there? Right? That's why you have to play those advanced bucks. Build that muscle memory. You can play anything, I'll tell you. How about 6-stroke rolls? Those are all played on the same hand, right? And a lot of people go, oh, I've played those. I didn't realize that's what they were. How about pataflaflas, right? Alternating. Play them off the left. How many people have ever played a pataflafla off the left? Not a lot of people have. But play them off the right, the left, alternate them. Okay. Now, what you want to do too is practice everything both with and without accents. And Gary and I were at DCA in 2011. It's one of my favorite stories. And we're playing this little exercise. Right, so it's paradiddles, rolls, and singles. And this kid comes over. His dad's at DCA, and his kid's there. And this kid's in a top 12 DCI drum corps. He's marching in a top 12 DCI drum corps. And Gary introduces him to him, and he goes, hey, what are you playing? So we showed him, and he goes, okay, let's play. I go, no accents on the paradiddles. He goes, really? I said, yeah, it's supposed to sound like a roll. Nice and even, so you can't accent. He goes, oh, okay. Jeez. And he's getting mad. He goes, I'm in a damn top 12 DCI drum corps. I can't play 30-second on paradiddles without accents. Ah! And he walks away, and everyone's looking at him like he's a maniac. Because he never practices rudiments with and without accents. You need to be able to play both. All right. Now, play exercises, all heights and volumes. We talked about that because I'm going to run behind here if I don't speed up. Use different muscles for each. But here's the other thing. Excuse me, I'm getting a dry throat. Practice moving accents all around. One of my things that I do every single time I pick up my sticks is I play what's called the paradiddle grid. You do 4 paradiddles accenting the first stroke of paradiddle, then 4 accenting the second, then the third, then the fourth. And then I do it with double accents. And then triple, and then all accents. Scott Jameson recently put out a video on that. It's really great. But I remember doing that back when I was 15 years old. I do that every single time I pick up my sticks. And there are numerous times that I've been in the booth at WGI and DCI with Dynasty, and kids come by and they're playing really hard stuff and go, let's do the paradiddle grid, move the accent, and they just can't do it. You need to be able to play those things. All right, then here's another thing to move the accent on. Flam accents. Practice them typically. Now leave the flam where it is, move the accent to the second. And then the third. So you can do what's called a 4-2-1 grid. You play 4 counts of each pattern, accent the first, the second, the third. Then you do 2 counts of each twice. Then you do 1 count of each 4 times. So this is the flam accent grid. Of course, you start it slower, but I don't want to play everything too slow. We'll never get out of here. Then you can do things like do it with flam drags. And then get really stupid and put the flam on the drag. Okay? So that's really cool stuff. Now, there's another thing you can do. Let's see, I'm going to have to skip a couple of things. Let's see. Okay, I want to do things like moving flams. There's an exercise we're going to do right now where we're going to play 4 counts of paradiddles 4 times. We're always going to leave the accent on 1, 2, 3, and 4, but we're going to move the flam. First we do it on the first part of the paradiddle, then the second. Then the fourth. So, it's really cool. No one expects to play a flam not accented after an accent. Do the same with flam accents. So I had planned to play those together, but I'm running out of time. So I just wanted to show you those things. And then you can put them together. I have an exercise. Now, by the way, I call those WTF paradiddles. WTF does not stand what you think it stands for. It's walk the flam. Okay? So I have one called 4-3 WTF, where you go back and forth between 6 flamadiddles and flam accents. So it's not only good for your chops, it's good for your head. So if we go here, now move to the second. Then the third. Okay? And do stupid things. Take a 6-stroke roll and make the middle a paradiddle. Why? Because you can. Why not, right? Take pataflaflas and add what we call a cheese, or drag, or flam flies. And then do them off left. And then alternate them. Just go crazy with this stuff, okay? Now, here's another thing. Practice in the position you'll be performing in, as I said. Practice both with and without a mirror and a metronome. Mark time if applicable. Play rudiments to your favorite songs. Just stick a song on and just start playing the rudiments. Why? Because here's the thing. If it doesn't groove, it's not music. Someone in the hotel said, "Are you guys playing music tonight?" I said, "Well, some might not call it music, but drummers all call it music. You know, but make it music." Here's the thing. Walt Whitman said, "If I can't move my readers to tears with if I can't move myself to tears with my own story, I can't expect to move my readers to tears." If you can't make yourself groove with what you're playing, there's no way your audience will. You have to move yourself. You have to put your whole self into it. My instructor, Mike Murphy, told me, everything you do has to be 2 things, intentional and meaningful. Nothing by accident, nothing without purpose. From the way you stand to what you think, the way you bring your sticks in and out, how much fun you have. And by the way, Scott Johnson says if you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong, right? So I know I'm out of time. There were a couple extra things I wanted to cover, but I just want to say one thing. If someone can play it, you can play it. You just need enough time, dedication, and enough information. And remember that when you get up in front of someone to perform, it's not about you, it's not about them, it's about the music. Be the music. Move yourself, and you will move them. And then the last thing I want to say is, hopefully you don't just go away from the weekend thinking, wow, those guys were really good. Hopefully you go home going, wow, I can be really better. I can be. I know that everyone that's gotten up here this weekend would rather that they never hear how good they are if they know everyone walked out knowing they were inspired by them. Our goal, as everyone that's on this stage, I promise you, is to see you up on this stage sharing your gifts, sharing your passion, and passing the torch. I guarantee it. Guarantee it. So it has been my incredible honor to be here, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart and say that I'm learning a lot this weekend too, and thank you so much for the opportunity.